Alright, so I've got an LG 60PC45, which is a HD ready plasma from 2008. And the fault is it's stuck in standby, I believe. I haven't actually plugged it in, because I repaired one of these in the past and it was stuck in standby. It was just bad caps on this sub power supply board. This set uses 2 power supply modules, and the sub power supply is common to getting bad caps, which causes a huge dip in the lower voltage rails for the main board, and if that happens it just won't start. And I can already see one bad cap already through the cover, so hopefully it's just that and nothing stupid. But what I'm going to do is take the top cover off. There's a lot of screws for this set, and this set is a monster. I think it weighs about 60 kilograms or something. So yeah, and I definitely needed somebody to help me carry this time. I think in fact I think the first one I did when I first started fixing TVs, I needed 3 people to help me. I can carry 50-inch up the stairs, like older ones as well, you know, fine by myself, but this is a tank. So yeah, we're going to take the back off and inspect the power supply boards. Hopefully it's just bad caps. Here's the inside of this massive tank. This is a 60x7 base plasma panel, so it's a bit of an older one, but bloody hell, this thing is massive. I have serviced 60 inches before, but I forgot how big this one was, like with the sustain electronics and everything. Well, here's the main power supply module. This is where the bulk of the load is done, really, because this supply here, this top one, see there's 2 modules, there's 2 separate modules to this. This supply here does the VS rail, which is the main power rail for the sustain boards. And as you know, the sustain boards pull the most amount of power in the plasma, because they have to get the gas ionized or ignited, so, and that uses a lot of energy. So here's the main power supply module. It's quite dusty. There's only one cap on this that will need to be changed. It's this one here. Now I'm going to show you why I'm changing that. You see it's not blown. Look at the series on there, WB. That's a defective series of cap. Now, this is the sub power supply module, which does all the lower voltage rails for like the control board and the main board. It doesn't do all of them, but it does most of them. And then it actually chains them back to this main power supply through this protection IC, and then to some of the boards. This power supply is not having a good day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bad capacitors on there that have failed, and they are all this absolutely shitty Samwar WB series. And you see that one there, that's WB as well. So any cap that says on either of these supplies that says WB or WL, you need to change them, because if not, you're going to replace the bad ones and then you're just going to have to replace the others a few weeks down the line when it fails again. So yeah, these are all 3300 microfarads here that are blown out. I think that's a 470, that's a 470, and what's this little guy here? Yeah, that's a 472, that's also a WB, so that's going to need to be changed. And that's a WL, that will need to be changed. So yeah, it's just bad caps. So it should hopefully be a simple fixer-upper to get this big monster going again. Yeah, but these power supplies are not too bad of a design. It is literally just the caps that I've ever known fail on these. I'm quite surprised actually that this TV only has 2 fans as well. you know, LG on their plasmas, they tend to add this massive blower fan assembly, which you can see they added the, you know, the supports for it, but they never added it. But this only has two like 70mm fans for the power supply, so I would have expected them to have the sustain boards fan cooled as well, because I bet they get real hot. That's about 480 watts into this, or about 400 watts into this, for crying out loud. So let's get the supplies out. Okay, so I've got these LG power supplies recaps for this 60-inch. I've actually had to film this twice now, but let's have a look at the sub power supply first. So I've got that primary cap changed. I put 120 microfarads in there because I didn't have an 82 microfarad, but it'll work fine for a primary cap. It's a Samyang one. They're decent caps, they're not too bad. 47 microfarad 60 volt down there, 22 microfarad 50 volt there, 470 microfarad 100 volt there, 680 50. Then these 6 are all 3300 microfarad 10 volts. I'm using Panasonic, I think FA series. Probably not the best ESR wise match, but they'll work. And 100 microfarad there. So that's pretty much the sub power supply done. Let's get a quick look at the soldering. Should be nice and smooth like that. Not used flux remover, but I don't really need to, I don't think. So let's have a look at the main power supply. 247 microfarad 50s there. That was a 22, but I ran out of those, so I used a 47. That's a 47 microfarad 50 volt there too. Those two are 100 microfarads, 10 or 16 volts. And that's a 470 microfarad. I've got a Rubicon on that. The rest of these are Panasonic and a couple of Samyangs. Let's look at the soldering again. Nice and even. Haven't used my desoldering gun for this, so literally just to clean the holes out of solder, I'll just use my soldering iron and push the tip through them. That normally tends to work. So, and I've resoldered a couple of the non-riveted joints on the FETs and stuff on this, so the only thing left to do now is plug this in the TV and see if it works, so I'm going to do that. Alright, so I have no standby on this set. Now I found that the standby IC is, the voltage for it is pulsating and it's resetting. And I found that I have one diode there, D804, that's showing up as shorted. It's not in parallel with that resistor, I don't think. Let me just check. No, it's not in parallel with that resistor, and that diode is showing up as shorted on the main power supply. Now on the sub power supply, this diode here, D115 and D151, these two, they're also showing up as shorted, and I think D165 as well. So yeah, D155, D165 and D151. Those three are showing up as shorted. The ICs themselves test okay, but it's those three diodes there and that one diode on the main power supply that are showing up as short circuit. Nothing else is wrong though. And of course with no standby, the relay is not going to be able to turn on. So I'm going to have to pull some of the legs of those diodes out of circuit and test them out of circuit, see if the diodes are actually blown. I've narrowed it down to those diodes, so I don't see why those won't be the problem. I couldn't see anything else obviously wrong. But yeah, there's a couple of diodes on the sub supply and on the main supply that are showing up as shorted. And of course if they are, there's no standby power at all, so got to get checking basically. Alright, so I've got the diodes in for the standby circuit. I'm going to need one for the main power supply, as I said there, and 1, 2, 3 for the sub power supply, which is D11 or D155, D165 and D151, and on the main power supply D804. They're all showing up as shorted. I got these for £2 or £3.30 off eBay for 8, and here they are. So I'm going to desolder these, test them out of circuit as well. The ICs both test good, as I said, nothing else has failed, so we'll replace those diodes. And we'll see if we get standby on this 60-inch. So I'm going to do that and then we'll test it. Right, so I've got these diodes replaced. I only found one of them to be shorted on the sub power supply here. I think it was this one. It was short circuit, but the rest tested fine, and the one on the main power supply here, this one, which I've also replaced, that's actually connected, and I didn't realise it's in parallel with that resistor there, and that resistor's low ohms. So the resistor, because it has such a low ohms, my meter picks it up as a short circuit. But because it's in parallel with the diode, it made the diode look shorted to me, but I was obviously not with it when I diagnosed this anyway. So I replaced one of the short, well, I replaced all three, but one of them was shorted on the sub power supply, exactly like it said in the repair kit. But I decided to check around again one final time before I got that bloody monster of a TV. Got the back off it and got everything plugged in and everything screwed down. I decided to do one more final check on everything, and I found something else. Which can be the reason why I have no 5V standby as well. So yeah, anyway, I tested the sub power supply again. I was checking these resistors, checked the FET, checked all the controller chips, and when I was testing these resistors I noticed this one, which is R103, which is a 10 ohm 5W resistor. This is open circuit. It's totally open across this resistor here. So, and what I'll do is I'll just show you that it's open circuit with my meter. As you see the readings on this, 5W, 10 ohms. The 10R means 10 ohms, by the way. And these are different ohms from that. So let's just do the one on the main power supply. These are the same, 5W, 10 ohms, and I'll measure those with the meter. And because 10 ohms is a short circuit when you're in diode mode, the meter will beep and it'll actually give a reading. But this one is totally open that I've pulled off the sub power supply. And of course this has just saved me a load of time, because what I would have done is, if I would have plugged this in again and I still had no standby, I would have then started checking voltages, which takes a lot of time, and just gave it one final check. So right, so I'm going to short the meter leads out. Now when I put the meter leads across this resistor here, it doesn't matter which way you put the probes on either for a resistor, you'll see no reading whatsoever off the meter. I've set this to 200 ohms. We should see an ohms reading, but we're not. So this resistor is open circuit. Resistors should have an ohms reading across them no matter what setting you're in. But obviously this is open, which means the coil, the resistor coil inside, this ceramic case has gotten really hot and burnt out, probably because of the bad caps, or well, more than likely because of the shorted diode. But as I said earlier, these resistors here on the main power supply are the same value with this. Now there's two in parallel here, so, but as you hear the meter beeps. So, and there's two in parallel here, so the ohms might not be exactly 10. But it might be close to that, so I'll just get a reading of that just to show you here. Get the camera set up properly. So yeah, 7 ohms across that. That's normal. This meter isn't the best, but this resistor was open circuit on the sub power supply R103, mounted next to the relay there, and I believe with these supplies, these, because they work together, I think the main power supply here, its 5 volt standby circuit runs, which turns one of these relays on, which turns on this transistor and this standby circuit, and then when that's all switched on and you press the power on button, it'll turn the other relay on, which turns the VS transistors on, and you get the panel starts to sustain and you get all the voltages up, is what I think. But I'm not going to look into the schematic of this, it's just a waste of time. But anyway, I've got this power supply here. I could order that resistor brand new. You can get them off eBay for cheap, you know, about £1 or so for 2 or so. But I've just got this old LG power supply out of another plasma. Not making any use of this. And if I do need to make use of it, I can just replace those resistors again. But this has 5 watt 10 ohms across, or it has those 5 watt 10 ohm resistors in it, so, and I'll just measure those for you. Now these are in parallel again, so I'll just use diode mode and you should be able to hear the meter beep. So, actually no, these are in series, these resistors are, so it should actually show 10 ohms. Oh, my bad. There we go. It's not always perfect, but that is enough. Yeah, that's an acceptable reading. So I'm going to steal one of these 5 watt 10 ohm resistors. Of course, if you don't have a spare supply laying around, just order them off eBay, really. Yeah, I'm going to steal one of these, steal that one that I've just marked, and replace it on this sub power supply. Nothing else tested bad, and that should hopefully fix this set. If not, it's going to be finding schematics off the internet and testing voltages, which is going to make this video a whole lot longer, but I don't mind. I like troubleshooting. So anyway, let's get that resistor changed. Okay, so I've got the 2 power supplies back in the set. I've got them armed up, got all the wires plugged in. That resistor's been replaced. If it works, what I'll do is I'll add some silicone to that to help hold it in place. All recapped as well. So it's definitely the smoke test. Now, I've had more plasmas blow up on me than LCDs. I've had a couple of LCDs blow up on me, but nothing compared to plasmas when they do go bang. So this is literally the smoke test, and I've got the heat sinks on there, as I might have said before. I can't remember, it's a few days ago, but yeah, I got those heat sinks mounted on those chips. Hope those cool. And smoke test. So here we go. Will the standby circuit explode? I see a red light. We are in standby. We didn't have that before. No smoke or explosions. Relay clicks. Listen to that. The sustain boards are running, the fans are on. A bit noisy those are, jeez. Might need a bit of WD-40 or something, I've only got that. X-sus is buzzing, or the Z-sus as it is in LGs. Nicely. Got flashing lights on the control board. Oh yeah, we do, they're just really dim. I'm not going to be able to lift this, I don't think. Oh shit. So what I'll have to do is pull it forward, see if we have an image. If I try lifting this, I'll break my arm, so... Oh god, I can't even see the panel. Pretty good black level as well, from what I can tell. And there's no lines, I don't think, in that panel. The panel is primed. The panel's primed with no lines on it, so the address buffers are all good. See if we can get like a raster or something. Can't really see anything, but again, the TV is only... Yeah, I can see an image. That noise was outside, by the way. That wasn't the TV. So yeah, set is on and working. Actually, those fans aren't that bad. I guess they started up a lot faster and then they've spun down. They move a good amount of air too, so that's good. See, these heat sinks that I've added are working. They're warm. Control board one. That's a little warm as well, so that's good. So yeah, it appears to be fixed. I'm just going to leave it like this for a while. And just keep it running for a bit. But it's come on at least, and just one shorted diode and a resistor and a load of caps that had to be changed. And this plasma should last for a good while. They're good TVs, to be fair. So anyway, I'll just leave it on for a bit now. Alright, so I've had this running for a while and it's all working fine. So I'm going to put the back on and get it testing pretty shortly. So firstly, just do a quick overview of what I've done to the set, and I've fully cleaned it as well now. I've just hoovered the rest of the dust out. So the problem was we didn't have any standby, and the first evident problem was bad caps on the sub power supply. The main power supply didn't have any bad ones, but I still replaced them. I think these were bad and one of those. But I ended up replacing any cap that was a Samwa WB or Samwa WL series, which ended up being the primary cap, and a lot of the smaller ones as well that I replaced on the main and sub power supply. But after replacing those, I still didn't have any standby, so in the repair kit on eBay for this supply, it says test those diodes. I found one of those shorted on the sub supply, but I replaced all three, and I replaced the one on the main power supply that's in the repair kit, even though that wasn't actually shorted. And then there was also a 10 ohm 5 watt ceramic resistor here in position R105 or 03. That was also bad, so I've replaced that as well, and even applied silicone to it. It looks almost factory, sort of. Hoovered the set out. I've added some heat sinks to the main processor and this other little processor here, because those got pretty hot. I also added a heat sink to the BGA mounted processor on the control board there, so there we go. And tightened all the ground screws on the Y and X main, or Y sus and Z sus, down on this set, and it's all good to go. So we're going to put the back on and get this beast testing. So let's do this. Just having the set running now, and I tell you, the sound quality on this is amazing. I guess it has to be because of how noisy the flipping back of it is, but the fans are noisier than the sustaining buzz. It's not even that warm really, and I've had it on for a while. This thing's so big that it's taller than the chest of drawers there. Jeez. I'm gonna get copyrighted there, but the sound on this TV is absolutely amazing, and the picture's alright. I mean, there's no mal discharge on the display, which is basically pixels not discharging properly. As you can see, they are all stable. There's no flashing pixels. So that's a good thing. There's no green mal discharge anywhere either, so the panel is adjusted properly and set up properly. Bit of image burn in that top left hand corner there, but it's not that bad. You know, nobody's going to really notice that. It took me a while to notice it. Yeah, the black level on this is alright, I suppose, for a, well, it's probably better than that Vest 315 there, I'd say. It's not better than like a Pioneer or a good Panasonic or something, but it's alright for an older plasma. And this thing appears to be all working now, so I'm probably going to wrap this up here. That was a repair of a 60 PC45. If you have no standby and you have bad caps, and hopefully help somebody fix their set if they get one. And I'm going to sell this for 300 quid, by the way. I should be able to get that. If I get any less than that, I'll put it in the comment or the description of it, but I should be able to get that. Hopefully this will sell pretty quick because it's just so big. So that's the set fixed, and thanks for watching.